ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a horror film from 1956. That movie is Bride of the Monster. Now, I cannot tell you a whole lot about this film. I can tell you that it is directed by Ed, Wood. I can tell you it stars legendary actor Bela Lugosi. I can also tell you, and this is really like the only other thing I know, is this is technically the prequel to the last Ed Wood film I covered, which was Night of the Ghouls. I say it's kind of a prequel in the sense that, outside of the fact that Lobo appears in both of these, and Lobo was Tor, Johnson's character in Night of the Ghouls, they also make a handful of references, apparently, in Night of the Ghouls to this. At least that is based on what I read up after I finished filming that episode. I have no idea if this thing is going to be entertaining. You will once more note I am not saying good because it's from Ed Wood. I really don't think that good is in the cards here. But it might still be interesting and it might still be worth watching, and the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Bride of the Monster. Oh yeah, I completely fucking forgot this movie was using a faulty friggin', octopus prop that didn't work when they were filming, so the actors who are killed by the monster are just sort of flailing around with the prop. My God, guys. Okay, I genuinely knew this was going to look bad. I did not think that those shots were going to look that fucking bad, though. God, this just looks terrible. Guys, now this movie started off kind of sort of, it started off kind of sort of interesting, and now, guys, over the last, 15, maybe even, 20 minutes, roughly, it kind of feels like it's gone, down, a hill, and it's starting to get a little bit dull. I'm certainly hoping for the, second half of the movie to pick up. I really, really want it to. But right now, guys, the movie's getting really dull really fast. Guys, it's kind of, it kind of feels weird. The acting in this movie sucks from top to bottom, except for Bela fucking Lugosi. Lugosi is turning in some top-notch, fantastic acting, and it really just feels weird when nobody else in the film is even fucking trying, guys. It just feels weird to me. Alright, guys, I have a fucking question, and this has to do with Ed Wood's films. Was he just not able to find another human being the same height as Bela fucking Lugosi? Because he had a stand-in in Plan 9 who was about 6 inches taller, if not even taller, and here, his stuntman looks to be about a foot taller. Guys, I didn't really think it'd be that hard to find someone with the same basic body shape and same general height as Bela fucking Lugosi for all of the stunt work. Apparently, I was fucking wrong. Well, guys, that was Bride of the Monster. Let me shut that off. Okay, I guess before I go into detail, I should just say this. This is not the worst Ed Wood film I have seen. It isn't. It is not the worst I've seen. It also is nowhere near the best I've seen, but it is still at least competent in terms of Ed Wood's work, which I know is not saying much, but now I get to try to give you some detail as to why. Writing. I will say, in terms of every Ed Wood film I've seen to date, this one is probably the most competently written. It actually, guys, is not even, the most competently written. It is the strongest script I've seen from any of Wood's films. We have here a very tight story that actually works, and almost everything makes sense, and it actually functions as a proper film, which is stunning, because that is something that Wood has yet to show me that he can do. Because almost every single one of his films is like lacking in logic, or just, you know, like lacking in a decent story, or just lacking in something. And this totally has a strong script, and it's brought down by, or well, it's almost brought down by almost every single negative I am about to give it. But one of the strongest things this movie has is a fantastic script. And if there's any movie I think could probably be remade, and remade well, if you were to get a competent cast for this, and if you had better special effects, I am going to cover both of those in just a moment, you would have here a really strong horror film. Well, kind of sort of like a throwback horror film. I mean, because there's no way this thing would be able to compete with modern horror cinema, because, well, nowadays this thing, it just couldn't stand up unless it was covered in blood and gore and titties, and this doesn't really open up for any of that. Anyway, writing here is by far the strongest I've seen from any kind of Ed Wood film, and if it were put in the hands of a competent filmmaker, the movie could have been far better. That much I can tell you. The acting, guys, I would love to just sit here and rail on the acting and just talk about how the acting sucks. But I also have to remember that this is a movie from Ed fucking Wood, and that is kind of sort of expected. And the acting here is certainly kind of shit, save for one. And that is naturally the only guy almost anybody could name from this movie, and that is the legendary Bela Lugosi. Lugosi kills, guys. He really does. He just absolutely crushes every single line he has, and he gives it so well. He's putting on such a fantastic showing that when he's in a scene with any other actor, he really does stand out, and he stands out in a somewhat negative way. Guys, this is probably the only time good acting is a negative, because Bella's acting, it stands out, and he actually knows how to act. He knows how to put on a character. He knows how to give his character life. That when you put him in another scene with any other actor, and that actor is phoning it in because they don't know the first goddamn thing about, acting, it really almost kills the scene. And seeing as on how Bella's the only competent actor here and everybody else is shit, it really is, guys, that his good acting is almost a fucking detriment to the film. I never thought I would be able to say that good acting was a negative in a film. Holy shit, that really just feels weird. But that, guys, is totally the case here. And my God, that is just fucked up. Now, anyway, now mind you though, guys, now, even though the acting is shit, once more, I honestly am not able to rail on that too much, because it's kind of sort of expected when you're when you're watching a movie from Ed, Wood. The acting is bound to be kind of sort of shit. It just kind of seems to be one of his, it just seemed to be one of his, like, trademarks. Anyway, props. I want to talk about special effects and props, because, dear fuck, we need to talk about special effects and props. Now, when I talk about special effects and props, I'm also talking about the sets. And when I'm talking about the sets, I'm specifically talking about Varnov's lab. There are quite a few noticeable problems with his fucking lab. The first one being the paint job inside the lab. I'm not even joking, guys. He has two walls on the sides which are basically just a plain, gray, and they look fine. And then there's the back wall. The back wall has this idiotic looking, almost fucking childish stone fucking work painted on there. Apparently it was supposed to look like a dungeon. And it kind of sort of looks like a dungeon drawn by maybe like a 10-year-old. But hey, and you see it and you are bound to fucking laugh. It really does look that bad. And then on one fucking wall, we have one of the few continuity errors the movie has. A scene that makes almost no sense at all. Allow me to explain. Every single time you see this wall, there is a fucking window there. And Varnov is able to look into the window. The window looks into it basically looks into the lake, which is right next to his home, and inside the lake is the monster he made, which is this giant fucking octopus. Now, like I said, in every single scene, that thing is a window peering into the lake, except for one scene when he has to kill when he has to kill a visitor. At which point, then that window is now a fucking door, and the door opens to a small blackened cave where the octopus apparently is just sitting there. Now, mind you, once more, every single scene before and after this, that thing is a fucking window on the wall peering into the fucking lake. And then in this one scene, it's a door leading into a cave and the octopus is just sort of there chilling. That really, guys, is like the one and only continuity error I could find in here. And it stands out so fucking much that I kind of felt the urge to bitch about it here. So we have to count in that, because that also is part of the set, and it didn't make a lick of sense. Makeup effects. I commented on the previous Wood film I watched, which was Night of the Ghouls. How it had fantastic makeup on Lobo, which was Tor Johnson's character both in that film and in this one. And in that one, Johnson had like basically this like makeup on like half of his face, where it looked burned and melted and scarred. It looked really cool. Here Lobo has a scar going from here to here, and the scar would have looked fine if not for the peeling and discolored rubber on both sides of it that was sort of holding it onto his face. It looks hideous, and it looks absolutely terrible when you compare it to this movie's technical sequel, which came out only 2 years later. Well, it was made only 2 years later. So yeah, guys, makeup effects here are kind of shit. However, though, everything else in terms of props, especially all of the gadgets and gizmos which are inside of Varnov's lab, look really cool. So I honestly, guys, am not able to gripe on that too much, and I'm really not able to gripe on the sets much outside of the fucking lab, and you spend more time in the lab than you do anywhere else in the film. So I kind of felt the urge to bitch about it, because you are going to see a whole lot of it. Now, also in terms of special effects, we do have the octopus. The octopus, almost everybody who knows anything about this movie knows that the octopus prop did not fucking work. And any time that it had to kill somebody, it was footage of the actor sprawled out on top of this fucking octopus prop, writhing. Now, it would have been fine if they would have like cut away and then they cut back and they have already like taken the fucking like tentacles and I don't know, like wrapped them around him. And that is done in most shots, except for one of them where we basically have a shot of Bella as he is basically getting ready to writhe, as he's basically just lying there, and you see him like reaching over and grabbing fucking like tentacles and like putting them all in place, and we then cut to him a second time, and now he's fucking writhing. That honestly is more a problem with editing than it is anything else, but still, it's not really good. And if they could have gotten that prop to work, the scene would have been great. Actually, every scene with the octopus then would have been awesome. However, because it didn't work, every single scene with it looks just terrible. And that right there is worth mentioning. Now, mind you, though, it seriously isn't terrible in a bad way as much as it's terrible in a funny way, because you see it and you are going to fucking laugh. Similar, honestly, to how Similar, honestly, guys, to how Bella's stuntman is about a foot taller than, he is. In fact, he's also about 4, maybe 5 inches taller than Tor fucking Johnson, which looks weird considering the fact that in every other scene, Johnson is fucking substantially taller than Bella is. So it just looked weird when we fucking get to the fight scene and Varnoff is suddenly towering over, Lobo. It looked weird. Looked incredibly out of place, and I felt the urge to mention it. Music here, though, is okay. Camera work here is good. The lighting here is good. In fact, guys, I'm going to tell you, this thing here is probably the best lit and best shot Ed Wood film I have seen, which is, granted, not saying much, but it is worth mentioning. So, guys, ultimately, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Bride of the Monster? Kind of, yes. As long as you're into as long as you're into, like, B movies, by all means, check it out. The movie is the movie is pretty good there. If you're looking for a good film, no. You most certainly are not going to get a good film out of this, but it is still a fun movie for, what it is. And I would love to thank the person who sent it in, but once more, I have no idea who sent in anything I'm doing this, month. I just know it was the same person who sent in these and sent in the Slumber Party Massacre trilogy, and sent in the one other movie I'm covering this month. I would love to thank that person, but I don't know who it was. But anyway, whoever though sent in this, thank you, because for years I wanted to watch more of Ed Wood's films, and I never had the chance. And it is thanks to you that I finally got my chance to watch most of them. There is one more movie from Ed Wood coming this month, and I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, guys, this thing, honestly, it could have been better. But honestly, it is still decent for, what it is. And I am just going to be happy with that much. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.